Hey guys, this is Jimmy Vong over at Colony Park. I'm over at the Corteil Phase 6. What I'm doing today is I'm going to be flushing out our tankless water heater. Here are some of the materials that I need to get this job done. Right here we have two separate hoses, about 6 feet long. They're pretty much just washing machine hoses you can use. You can pick them up at Lowe's, Home Depot, or any other home store. Here's a submersible pump, water pump, so that way you can put this pump inside our vinegar solution. We use a 5-gallon bucket. You can use a 5-gallon bucket or anything bigger. We have about 3 to 4 gallons of vinegar here. I'm going to use 3 gallons of vinegar first. I have another gallon of vinegar just in case I need more, but this should probably be a good way with just 3. So what we're going to do is go over here to our water heater. So what you want to do first is, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off the gas valve. Pretty much if the valve is in line with the piping, it pretty much normally means that it's open. So what you want to do is turn it horizontal against the piping. So that means that's off. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to flip the TMP valve. What this is pretty much a safety valve, and what it does is when your water tank or your water heater produces too much heat or pressure, this is going to flip on its own and then flush out that water so that your system doesn't get destroyed or messed up inside. So when you flip this switch, keep in mind you're going to listen for 3 clicks. When those 3 clicks are done, that means the flow sensor is open, so that way you can flush out the system correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and flip that. Okay, those are the 3 clicks. What I want to do now, power that off afterwards. Okay, power that off. That means the flow sensor are open after 2 beeps. I'm going to go ahead and close my cold water inlet, as well as close my hot water outlet. Then flip that down. You want to make sure you flip that back down afterwards. That way you're not cycling the water outside rather than cycling it back in itself to flush it out. So inside here right now there's a bucket of vinegar is what I have. So what I'm going to do is, first if you can zoom in right here, there's a little, I don't know, like a little plug of some sort right here. And what this is like a catch screen or a pre-filter of the water going into the system. So what I want to do is I want to remove this. And sometimes you can do it with your hand, or you can just get some pliers or something and just twist it off. Don't worry if you get a little water out of that, it's fine. So this is the little screen you can see here. So it comes in 3 pieces. The screw, the filter, and this piece should come off. So this is the screen right here. You can see in mine actually, it's the first time I'm opening it, there's actually some sediment in there. There's some stuff in there, you can see bits and pieces. So what I'm gonna do is I just wanna rinse that out quickly. There's also a little rubber kind of like bushing or seal there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna clean that out. Got my little hose here. Just rinse it real quick. Then you want to reinstall this pre-screen of this catch filter, and it only goes in one way. As you can see, it only fits and it'll lock. This one's too big. Other side, and it locks in. You can install it the same way you took it out. Just push it like that. Screw it in there. It doesn't have to be on too tight. Just make sure it's tight enough where there's no leak. I'm gonna open up these little caps. Okay, one for the cold water and the hot water. Might get a little water out there. And then I'm gonna attach my hoses to them. So I actually bought the wrong pump. So thankfully to another resident of Colony Park, Mark Jima, actually on very short notice before he went to work, let me borrow his pump. So this is actually a good pump to use as a submersible, and it sucks from the bottom, so that way you don't need as much vinegar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in our vinegar bucket of solution right here. Okay, get a little closer. What you want to do is plug up the cold outlet to the pump, or inlet to the pump. Okay. So then I plug up the hot water outlet as well, and this is going to go just sit in the tank. So the idea is the pump is going to suck up the vinegar from the bottom of the bucket. go up the cold inlet, go through the system, circulate back out of the hot outlet, back into the bucket, and then it'll continue to cycle like that for a while until we're ready to do that. So once you have all the hoses and everything set up, you want to still make sure that your cold water inlet main valve is shut off from the house to the tank, and then also the hot water outlet from the tank to the main house. Okay. What you're going to do afterwards is turn on or open the valves for the cold outlet to go to the hoses, and the hot outlet to go to this hose as well. Okay, so I'm going to open that. And what we're going to do from here is I'm going to plug up the pump. As you can see, it's circulating right now. So what you want to do is you want to check the pressure of water that's coming out of these hoses. As you can tell, it's got a good amount of pressure. If it's not a good amount of pressure and it's only coming out slowly, then more than likely you didn't open the flow sensor, which is when you do the 3 clicks off of the T&P valve. This will regulate the water from circulating in and out. Okay, so what you're gonna do is let it run for a good hour, hour and a half. The longer, probably the better. So I'm just let that sit there for a while, and then we'll come back in an hour and check up on this. It's been about an hour and a half. The system's been flushing through, circulating through itself. What I want to do now is just shut off the pump, so nothing is currently running. What I want to do now is I want to take out this catch filter again, and just make sure if there's any additional debris while I was filtering or flushing, I can grab it out and just clean it again a little bit more thoroughly. I also, what I did is I pulled the pump power, so I shut off the pump, and I closed off the hot and cold outlet. Now I'm going to take off this filter. Plug it back in. So now what I'm going to do is, there might be a little bit excess vinegar or solution that's in the system as you were flushing it out. So what I want to do now, I'm going to keep the cold and the hot outlet closed off. I'm going to flip the T&P valve again, and I'm going to then open up the cold inlet valve. So what I want to do is have the house water push cold water through this water heater. And from this side, it's going to flush out all of that vinegar and excess solution. And instead of coming back into the house with hot water, I'm going to keep these valves closed so it can't come out of the hose and it can't go into the house. It's going to go through the T&P valve and flush out and clean itself. So I'm going to do that and let it run for about 5 minutes. So the T&P is open, and I'm going to open the valve for the cold inlet. And as you can see, it'll flush out the water and the excess vinegar and water out through the T&P valve. So it's been running about like 4 or 5 minutes now. With the hot water outlet valve and the cold water outlet valve closed off, you can actually remove the hose now. Just remove that. You might get a little bit of vinegar or solution coming out of the water. It shouldn't be a big deal because the valves are closed off. Once the hose is coming out, you can just recap them up. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to close the T&P valve so that the cold water is going to stay in the system. I'm going to close that off. Okay. So now cold water is coming in to the system, but it's not going anywhere because the hot water outlet valve is still closed off. So now I'm going to actually open the hot water outlet valve so it goes back into the house with hot water. I'm going to turn that back on. And I'm actually going to power on the unit. And last thing is turn on the cap. Turn on the gas. Reroute this. Power back on. And then turn on the gas. And that's all. And that's it. You just flushed out your tankless water heater.